Hello YouTube, it's Borders Dude and I'm back with a video review and taking a look at another one of my pickups from TFN, courtesy of Toys R Us. This is the Doctor Wu version of Ultra Magnus, and they have called him Tactical Commander. Let's take a look at this mini-bot and see how he fares. We'll take a look at the packaging first of all, because I absolutely love the packaging these Doctor Wu figures come in. That art style has been used by various third-party companies, so they're clearly employing the same artist, and I for one think it's brilliant. It gives just a lovely premium feel to the box. And looking at the back, you do get that product shot of the figure on a nice looking diorama. It's really well done, the box art. They have certainly came on leaps and bounds with this, from the first figures being Beachcomber and Soundwave. Really enjoy it. Really enjoy that G1 looking grid that goes all the way around the top and the corners of the box. Very nice indeed. Also included with the figure you get the wonderful collector's card with again that box art shown on the front of the card, and then also the bio, and there you go. If you'd like to pause it and read his bio, then please by all means do so. And lastly, you also get the raft of instructions just to help you out when you transform him, as he's somewhat involved for a smaller figure. And we'll take a look at his car carrier alt mode, and it's very nicely done. I love the little detail on the cab itself. We'll just remove him from his trailer. Bringing it in a bit closer. That lovely silver paint bringing out the details on the windshield, the grille and the lighting, plus the red bumper. Very classic Generation 1 Magnus. Now what this does very differently from other Ultra Magnus cab figures is this one gives him blue legs, and I think that works very well, at least for the cab mode design, because you're then having a more unified look to the alt mode rather than the traditional white legs sticking out. Not that it makes a huge difference aesthetically, but for me, I do like this change, and this is why I opted for this version of Tactical Commander, just to have that more unified looking alt mode. All the other hallmarks of a mini Ultra Magnus are here in the car carrier alt mode. You've got all the detail going on in his little trailer. You've got the amazing set of wheels done with little push pins giving us Micromaster vibes, and you've got all the detail on the top of the trailer as well. It does roll reasonably for a figure this size, but remember it is very small. But overall, this is just a wonderful looking alt mode, and those blue legs definitely do make the difference in my opinion. And we'll do a scale comparison for Tactical Commander in his alt mode with the Netflix special Bumblebee. That gives you an idea how small this little Ultra Magnus figure is. A little bit of nostalgia if you're of a certain age. Here he is with Micromaster Tote, and I think they actually scale okay together. And yeah, you can have Tote sitting on top, but that does look just a tad out of place. Time to take a look at the Prime Cab Robot mode, and this is brilliant. I loved the transformation on this figure. It was delightful and surprisingly involved for a figure of this stature. Again, it's a faux grille that you get on the chest, but the top of the alt mode becomes the top of his chest. There's no faking at that part, which is really well done. That head sculpt there is just pure Optimus Prime. I love how they've put the little blue paint in there to bring out the eyes, and that silver is just a slightly different paint colour than the windows on the chest, which is really nice. I'm amazed at all the detail that's went in to a figure of this size, and that's something they've definitely improved on since their first releases. The articulation, the head is on a little ball joint, and this is going to be hard to show on camera because of the size of them, but yeah, you can see that that turns round. The arm can do a full 360. You've got a ball joint at the elbow, and you do get this additional piece of articulation. There is no proper waist swivel to speak of, but the legs give you a nice range of motion being on a ball joint, and the toes are on a ball joint as well. So for a figure, again, of this size, that's quite a fair whack of articulation you're getting for your buck. The little white prime cab does get his own weapon, and it is this little energon axe done in a clear orange plastic. And it's very nicely done. Very little sculpting on it, of course, but still nice nonetheless. And this should just peg into the side here of his fists. And that is a nice tight fit. And indeed, a very clever way to get such an accessory onto a figure. It's really clever. I like the way they've done it. Sure, the fist is exposed there, but still at certain angles you couldn't really tell that much. The next step for the little white prime is to get him prepared for the Ultra Magnus mode, the tactical commander. So we do that with the head, pop this up and around, and put the fists on the top, like so. Well, my camera goes focus crazy. And if you have the New Age Ultra Magnus, you'll see a very similar step of transformation. Whether that was intentional or not, or they've copied the New Age version of Ultra Magnus, I don't know, but there we are. That's him prepared to get the Ultra Magnus armour on. Let's get Tactical Commander into his final robotic form, the Mini Ultra Magnus. Now the first thing I would do is take the head and the upper part of the body. If we have a look here, we've got a little disc which is used as in the cab mode as well, just to hitch to the wagon. But we take this little bit here which has a clip on it, and that clips in and just sits there nice and tight, like so. Pop that off to one side. We're going to bring in the legs now, which just have a nice satisfying fit. You can see how it will all just tab in together. Just pops in there really nicely. Again, a nice satisfying click when you get them into that position. Almost there now. Now this bit can be a little bit fiddly, but we will try. Just do it first time on camera. So we're just going to slide it in like so, hopefully, with any luck. There definitely wasn't a jump cut there at all. So once that is tabbed in all together nicely, we've got a little hole and a little tab, and we just pop them in like so, and you hear that satisfying click. There we are, a bit messy at the back, but we won't focus on that. And we'll bring him back and get him into focus for the final shot. And let's take a look at him now in his full Ultra Magnus garb. And yes, definitely glad that I picked this up. Just Look at that face sculpt. Again, they do some fantastic detailing with the eyes on these Doctor Wu figures. He does have a little grin that's quite hard to pick up on camera, but you can see it there. Nice little cheeky smile going on. Definitely looks the Ultra Magnus part done in a shrunken form. Has some lovely detailing going on in the red portion of his torso. Paint isn't too badly used here. I do have some smudging on mine if we look there. Just a little bit. Nothing too drastic to say the least. The white on the prime cab legs and the white on the Ultra Magnus legs definitely don't match, and that kind of makes it a bit off-putting. It would have been better if they had somehow managed to match the paint either way, to be honest, just to give it a more unified look. It does, in some cases, look like he is just wearing some sort of Ultra Magnus pants. Again, we've had a look at the back itself kind of cleans up, if I'm being generous to it. But yeah, if there was a way for these to spin round to give them stacks at the back or something, I think that would have been a nice touch. Not much going on at the back, to be honest, but that's to be expected. Now, for your articulation in this mode, his arm is on a ball joint, so we'll give you full 360. Gives you a limited rotation at the arm just because of the way things are designed. We've got a bend, we've got a swivel. We don't have articulation on the fist, which I didn't think we would have. No articulation on the torso whatsoever. The legs more or less give you that same freedom of movement you had with white prime cab, but we do get a wonderful ankle tilt there on the Ultra Magnus feet. So again, repeating myself quite a lot here in this review, but for a figure of this size, you are getting a lot of articulation. Weapon wise, he does come with his iconic Ultra Magnus blaster. And that's done very Generation 1 reminiscent and done exceedingly well. I suppose you can say that those shoulder cannons are additional weapons, as they are, but really the blaster here is the only weapon that you do get to use in his Ultra Magnus mode, which is fine by me. For a scale comparison in his robot mode, let's once again bring in the Deluxe Bumblebee from the Netflix series, and of course we'll bring in Little Tote. I'm honestly impressed with how the Micromasters scale with these Doctor Wu figures. They are very much on par. I could see Tote being that size given his alt mode, and it would definitely match up quite well, so there is definitely some crossplay with older lines, and indeed the new Micromasters that have recently come out, so that's a very nice touch by Doctor Wu. My final thoughts on Tactical Commander by Doctor Wu. I absolutely adore this figure. Now, it is an Ultra Magnus figure, so I already have that immediate bias towards them, but for a figure of this stature, from the Micromaster retrospective compatibility in the alt mode and also the robot mode, he does scale very well with G1 Micromasters. The detail that goes on from each individual mode is tremendous for a figure of this size. There's a ton of articulation going on here as well, so there's enough there for some excellent figure photography shots. But do I recommend him is more the question, and to be honest, not really. These figures in general are more of a curio than anything else in my opinion, and the reason I got this figure, thanks to Toys R Us, was because he is purely an Ultra Magnus figure, and another one for my Ultra Magnus display. The other Doctor Wu figures I have in the collection, they were nice, but it's not something I would go back to, whereas the other figures in my collection I do. I guess if you like Titan figures and have them in their base modes, and also the Micromaster bases, as well as the homages we had in the recent War for Cybertron trilogy series, then yes, these figures would work very well with that. But they are out of place in a modern collection, it has to be said. Over to you now. Do you have this figure, or do you even have other Doctor Wu figures, and what do you think of them? Do you think I'm being very unfairly harsh? Let me know in the comments section below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you again soon with another video review.